I'm number 11 of the Fatui Harbingers, codenamed Child, but I also go by Tartaglia.
Hi, I'm Tartaglia, he says, as though it's that simple. As we know, it's really not. With the information we've gleaned since the 1.1 update, we know that this pretty boy has 3 names, and the usage of each one is so unclear that the way he's referred to is translated inconsistently across languages. There are layers and meaning to his designations, and that's what I want to dive into today. First, there's his family name, so to speak. Not in the surname kind of way, but more that it's the name his parents gave him, the one he grew up with, and because it was his only name for so much of his life, we can assume it's what his beloved siblings call him, the name he uses for family. We know the name Ajax as a character from the Iliad, a strong fighter and major player in the war. He's known for his tactical intelligence, never being injured, rarely needing divine intervention, which is noteworthy considering the kind of divine buffs most Iliad soldiers get, and for covering his soldiers during retreat as a defensive warrior. In other words, he's smart, he badass, he noble. Ajax is a hero, bona fide and capitalized. And that is how little Ajax learned about his namesake, among other such tales of good men, sitting beside his father while they went ice fishing together. His father would regale him with stories of his adventuring years, and this third character story talks about how Ajax dreamed of being the hero of the stories his father told him. It's just a touch heart-melting when you think about his eventual involvement with the Fatui and overall being a murderous freakazoid, though he probably is Snezhnaya's hero and we're just missing the deets on that. Is anyone going to ask who his father was such that he could have multiple Iliad-scale adventures and then live to raise like 6 kids? No? Okay. The other 2 names happened all at once as part of his induction into the Harbingers. It's the custom for Harbingers to take a name given to them by their Tsaritsa, probably as a sign of their devotion and allegiance. It's possible that this is a custom among all Archons to give those in their service names, since we know that Morax turned Alatus into Zhao, but I'd be curious to know if Tsaritsa is the only one to treat humans in her employ with the customs usually reserved for gods. It would be a good thematic touch, but that's another topic. Why give your direct reports new names at all? Well, we know how important they are for identity and autonomy in storytelling. It so happens that the Harbinger devotee names are themed off of stock characters from a type of Renaissance-era Italian comedy called commedia dell'arte, which is characterized by a cast of stock characters who are put into different situations, like doing a bunch of AU fanfiction for the same set of people. Using commedia constructs may be interesting to Genshin's storyline, since this style of theater uses a lot of improvisation, taking recognizable roles and situations to establish a scene and letting the characters play off each other. The Harbingers we've encountered appear to inherit personality traits as well as their name, which really drives home the impression of mortals as mere players, improvising their roles within the god's game. That, or it was just really convenient for the writers when some boss man told them that they were going to have a whole elite force for Tsaritsa to enact her will. Here, take this list of existing characters. Use those! But that's all Tartaglia is. He left behind the name Ajax and became Tartaglia to show his devotion to his Tsaritsa. Child is just a code name, so to speak. Why do they need code names if they're going to go around giving people their Tsaritsa names too? I have no idea. We roll with it. Now, with the other Harbingers we've seen and heard of, their titles, code names, aliases, whatever, directly relate to their Tsaritsa name. It's worth noting here that I'm using literal translations of the Chinese titles since, again, the way they're translated across languages is inconsistent and I'm really not clear on a pattern. Following literal translations, we get pretty direct relationships between a Harbinger's commedia name and their code name, such as with Scaramouche, which in the Italian translates to Little Skirmisher, having the codename the Skirmisher. Meanwhile, in English, we get things like Balladeer, which I'm actually not knocking. I think Balladeer is a pretty legit codename. I just do not see how it relates to being a skirmisher. But anyway, in the Italian, Pulcinella is etymologically thought to originate from the word chick like chicken, and the character is described as having a chicken-like shape. Accordingly, the title listed in one of the official trailers is The Rooster. La Signora means the lady, Il Dottore translates to the doctor, and so on. Their titles reflect their commedia roles, and probably inspired the foundation of the character's design and personality. We haven't gotten clues on all of the Harbingers yet, but given the sigils shown in one of the official forums and this established pattern, we can extrapolate. I also want to throw in a little disclaimer here. I apologize for my Italian pronunciation. It is not a language which I have studied. Now, the Commedius Tartaglia is a bit different in that he has a more undefined part to play than the doctor or the captain or the lady. He's cited as always having a secondary role, the assistant to the doctor, the lackey to the captain, and is a mocking comedic relief, as in, we mock him. His stammer, which is his namesake, Tartaglia means to stammer, keeps him from expressing his thoughts, and the more primary characters finish his words to say something different than he intended and then move along without him. Overall, a very weak character, and that isn't our Tartaglia at all. Instead, we get child. I like to throw a "the" at the beginning there for some consistency, and also it's way more fun. I'll get to that momentarily. Ah, our young lord from the Old English. It probably worked out that Tartaglia's Commedia role is so fluid, haha, hydro pun, because it gives them the flexibility to make him a complex, compelling character who stands out from the stock cast. It also gave them an opportunity to get creative with its title, which, overall, I greatly approve of. Not only does it really work for him, Harbingers have power above any other mortal, just below gods, and is not only the youngest of them but described as a youth, fandom's guessing like 19, he both actually is a young lord and acts like one, all moneybags and amiable behavior. Beyond that, though, this was a stroke of genius on Tsaritsa's part. Imagine this. You're a soldier fighting against the Tsaritsa, and you hear the words, "The child is here." You're terrified. You're quaking in your boots, gonna vomit, because you know you're dead, but also don't you kind of have to laugh hysterically because you are terrified of the child. Tsaritsa can beckon him, "Come, my child." The other Harbingers can speak condescendingly to him, "Oh, how's your mission going, child?" It's built-in affection and condescension all in one, and I give Tsaritsa a 10 out of 10 on that call. But anyway, our Sunshine Psycho murder boy's 3 names. Ajax, used by family, Tartaglia, in service of his Tsaritsa, and Child, a pointless but cheeky AF codename. That's all that I have for Child's names. I wanted to do this one as my first Genshin informational video because it's something that tripped me up for a while and seemed like a straightforward, compact topic to cover in my first attempt. I'll be making a lot more of these with topics like the overall theme of Genshin, real-world originations of Teyvat's lore, and storyline theories, so feel free to DM me with advice, feedback, ideas, or just to chat. All of my info is down there. Have a good one, and may the gacha be ever in your favor.